Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Eastbound and Down, and I finally finished this series from Danny McBride and his fellow creators like Jody Hill, David Gordon Green, and they've put on I guess at this point 3 shows on HBO with Eastbound and Down and then Vice Principals, and now what I think is their crowning achievement, which is the Righteous Gemstones. But this show looks at Kenny Powers, who is a washed up, very angry relief pitcher in Major League Baseball who is disgraced and has to head back to his hometown, and in the first season winds up being a substitute teacher, and then quite a journey he goes on from playing in Mexico to playing in the minor leagues, and finally post-career being a sportscaster. And it's an interesting journey that you see this man go through, and while burning every single bridge along the way. And Kenny Powers is played by Danny McBride, and Danny McBride plays this character perfectly. This is like the quintessential Danny McBride character. He is a giant asshole, but there's something about him that you're just like, okay, there's something good under all of this crap. And I think the series, for the most part, finds that good and allows the audience to hook onto it. Even though every other thing out of his mouth is offensive, he is completely ignorant and, childish. He's a giant man-child. And he makes the most erratic, rash decisions all throughout this series. And I guess that's the interesting thing, is it's very stop and go, because here's an arc, he's become a better person. Next season, put him in a new situation where he could ruin himself and then have to redeem himself again. And that's the basic crux of this series, is him redeeming himself and then completely shitting on the life that he has, having to redeem himself again, and rinse, dry, and repeat. And along the way, you have Steve Little, who plays Stevie, who is his, right-hand man, who's, he is quite the character. And, I've never really felt for Stevie. Kenny treats him like crap. But Stevie's also, doesn't have a whole, he's just so ignorant beyond belief. And he has, over the course of this series, meets Maria, who winds up being his wife, and them having kids, and they have an interesting relationship as she is Mexican. They meet in the second season, but the big thing is you have April, played by Katy Mixon, and their on and on, off again relationship between Kenny and April is one of the big cruxes of this series, and it's just she's too good for Kenny. And then Kenny redeems himself, and then he makes an ass of himself again, and then, rinse, dry, and repeat. And I feel like that's probably the biggest criticism I could have about this series, is, they do shake up the setting, but a lot of, the overarching each season is the same thing. And I think that Kenny is a hard character to connect with. I feel like in Vice Principals, Danny McBride, even though he's kind of an asshole, is still more relatable and understandable. Kenny is just an a-hole. And you, with a heart of gold, just covered in so much crap, it's hard to see. And over the course of time, you warm up to him. But a lot of this show really shines off of the scenarios and the absurdity of it all. And there's crazy characters like Will Ferrell's a recurring character in here, who's this horrible, silver-haired, car dealership guy who really has it out for Kenny Powers, and who also, he loops in Craig Robinson, who's also a former baseball player, and they kind of have a thing with each other. John Hawkes plays Dustin Powers, who's Kenny's brother, and they have on and on, off again relationship. You loop in their parents, played by Lily Tomlin and Don Johnson, in a couple of this seasons too, and it's just a matter of you building these bridges, burning them. The cast is fantastic. Jason Sudeikis is in it for a little bit. Adam Daly's a big part at the beginning of this series. You loop in Jillian Bell in the last season. And Ken Marino is a big part. He's the guy who gets Kenny involved in like the sports casting. Ike Barinholtz is a rival baseball player. It's just such a great cast that they find all kinds of like random, and like Matthew McConaughey is a sports scout that always makes all these very homosexual and homoerotic kinds of references and stuff like that, and you're just like, what's going on here? And that's the thing too. This series, like, Kenny is very ignorant of a lot of people and of a lot of cultures and a lot of backgrounds. So like, he says some really offensive stuff, and I would not be surprised. Like, this is a hard show because I think a lot of people will get really turned off by how offensive Kenny Powers is, and trying to get past, like, you know, he is supposed to be an ass and over the top and stuff like that, and I don't really think that this is the world's perspective that, you know, Jody Hill and David Gordon Green and Danny McBride actually have. It's just a matter of, like, it's like Archie Bunker, except modern, and turned up to 20, honestly. And there's exciting moments, there's twists and turns along the way. I just feel like this is quite hilarious show. I laughed a lot watching this series, and I'm a big fan of this team of creators, and, you know, I can't wait for season 3 of Righteous Gemstones. Oh, love that show. And I'm glad that I went back and checked this one out. This is crazy, 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 crazy fun. And I think that's all you could expect out of Eastbound and Down. But those are my thoughts on Eastbound and Down. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.